Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. I want to talk to you about a really big topic today, and understanding this is absolutely key to understanding what it is that I share with you in this group and on my page. And this is that food, whatever that food may be, even fruit, even herbs, food doesn't heal the body. It's the body that heals the body. So when we fast, what we're actually doing is we're getting out of the body's way. We're saying to the body, you have this innate cosmic intelligence. You are perfect, like every other part of nature, which is perfect in every way. Everything is perfectly balanced. And our body is exactly the same. And when we get out of the body's way, when we stop the mind, the ego, from interfering with the body, then the body gets on with it and just starts healing, starts rejuvenating, starts shedding mucus and toxicity. And I come across this a lot in even in fruitarian and raw food groups, the concept that raw food is healing you, or fruit is healing you, or herbs are healing you. That is not the case, and it's not correct. And you might think that I'm being a little bit pedantic here, but actually it's an important distinction to make, because by saying, fruit is healing my body, you're giving away your power to the fruit or to the herbal tincture or to whatever, and truly the body is so much more powerful than we give it credit for. And we've lost sight of that in our kind of Western modern society. And it's really important that we come back to a higher understanding of the power and ability of the body, not just to rejuvenate itself, but also to access higher states of consciousness. This body is truly a vehicle for ascension, for enlightenment. And the lighter we become energetically, the lighter our body will be. And this means lighter in terms of weight. It also means lighter in terms of it not being clogged down with any kind of heavy metals or any toxicity. And it also means lighter in the sense that you require less. The body requires less to function. It's more efficient, more effective. So when people say that something healed them, whether it's Reiki, whether it's massage, whether it's a fast or a diet, it's not those things. It's nothing external that heals the body. It's the body that heals the body. And by body, I mean mind body, not just the physical body, because the way we think massively impacts and influences our body, our physical body. And certain cognitions that we hold about ourselves, certain beliefs that we hold about our body, about its power, about its potential for healing, about its rejuvenative properties, this will directly affect the body's ability to carry out those things. It's like the placebo effect. If you truly feel that when you're fasting, you're rejuvenating and regenerating your body, then that's what's going to happen. But if you have a cognition that your body will never heal, or that your body is unable to heal, or that it requires surgery to heal, or that it requires any kind of external input to heal, that isn't the ultimate truth here. That's not the highest understanding. Because the reality is that the body doesn't need anything external. When you look at everything in the universe, from the smallest atoms to the largest, planets and solar systems and galaxies, everything is operating just on plasma. The sun isn't feeding on anything. Atoms have all of this energy and they're moving, they're constantly spinning, rotating, but they're not eating, right? They're not consuming anything. It's only in this 3D reality, on this planet, on this plane that we're at, that we're eating. And it's the fact that we eat is a direct reflection of where we're at, conscious, in terms of our consciousness collectively. And the fact that, generally speaking, collectively, we're still eating so many animal products and causing so much suffering to billions of innocent animals on this planet. It's just a direct reflection of the incompletions that the large majority of the population shares. So, the point here is that the more we disconnect from the conditioning that we have to eat a certain thing, that we need to eat protein to survive, or that we need to eat animal products in order to be healthy and to feel good. A lot of people fail to understand that the way the body detoxes, right? So I have some friends at the moment who are now eating meat again after having been vegan for quite a few years. And because they don't understand the process of detoxification, they don't have a complete framework, So let's say they go on a vegan diet, and at first they feel great. There's that kind of honeymoon period, but then afterwards they'll start some detox because they've eliminated a lot of acidic and mucus forming foods from their body. So of course the body is going to start purging acidity and toxicity and mucus, and this doesn't feel pleasant. You kind of go through what people call healing crises. I call them healing opportunities because I think it's framed a lot better. It just sounds a lot better. It feels a lot lighter to me. But if you don't understand, if you don't have the contextual understanding of what this means and what's happening, you can very quickly reach the incorrect conclusion that your body needs the animal products, that it feels weak without them, that you have brain fog unless you're consuming animal products. But what's actually happening is that the weakness, the tiredness, the brain fog, etc., these are detox symptoms. And sadly, a lot of people, because they don't have the cognition that the body doesn't need anything external, that the fact that we're taking things on, the fact that we're eating certain things is just a direct reflection of where we're at consciously. And the more we elevate our consciousness, the lighter we will become and the less we will need to eat and drink. And thus, the journey towards breatharianism. And if you guys haven't seen my video on breatharianism, I do recommend it. I'm going to link it below. But it's actually quite a controversial subject in a lot of ways, and it really frightens a lot of people. It really triggers a lot of people because to them, to live on just air and prana, and breatharianism is not just air, it comes through the breath, but it's absorbing energy from pranic sources like not just air, but the sun, water, water bodies. Being in and near water is incredibly energizing for us. From crystals, from connection to source, you can get energy from so many different sources, right? We don't need to eat to access energy. Like the example I gave earlier of the galaxies and the atoms. None of those guys are eating. Why should we be any different? We're just a part of nature. It's because we're imbibed with consciousness, and this consciousness influences the way our body manifests and behaves in this 3D reality. So what can you do to support your body to rejuvenate and repair itself? The most important thing is to do some fasting. Start doing some intermittent fasting. If you guys are watching this but you haven't yet read the protocol in the pinned post, if you're a reasonably new member, make sure to read that and let me know if you have any questions, because it's really, really important that when we do practice fasting, we practice it safely and we practice it in the correct way. Another thing you can do as well is just practice becoming aware of ways in which your body is powerful. And every time, and this is an experiential process, right? So by virtue of doing fasting and doing cleanses and becoming aware of your emotional eating patterns, you'll realize that your body's capable of doing much more than you think it is. So for example, when I did my first 10-day water fast, I took 10 days off work. I was working as a lawyer in London at the time. I had quite a stressful, busy job, and I thought there's no way I can do this with my job, and I really wanted to commit and surrender to the process fully. So I took 10 days off, and I was so surprised during those 10 days by actually how much easier the process was than what I thought it would be. I had this idea that it would be horrendous, that I would be suffering a lot, that I would be in a lot of pain, that I would be hungry the whole time, that I would be miserable, because this is what we're led to believe. This is the fear-mongering that's spread around in society by powers that don't want us to fast. Because if you look at it, fasting is the only thing we need to do to bring our body back into balance. And anything like pharmaceuticals or, you know, food, all of these things, they're diametrically opposed to fasting. And when you think about all the big industries on the planet, they're, you know, all of them would be very highly jeopardized if the whole population started fasting. And people who are making huge amounts of money from you know, those industries, they don't want people to think of fasting as a viable option. And I was so surprised by how effortless my I mean, don't get me wrong, there were obviously some challenges, but it was so much easier than I thought. I was so surprised by that. Similarly with the 7-day dry fast that I did this recent Christmas. I did it in December 2017, and I was again so surprised by physically how not that challenging it was. Emotionally and psychologically, it was really hard, because I had a lot of patterns around changing my state. And I came to realize this whilst doing the fast, because when you're water fasting or juice fasting, you can always have some water or some juice when you feel thirsty or when you feel hungry or when you want to change your physical state in any way. But when I was dry fasting for those 7 days and 7 nights, there was nothing I could do to change my physical state. I wasn't even going into contact with water, so I couldn't have a bath to relax in. Again, I couldn't. I was choosing not to, because it was, you know, making the fast much more effective. And the only 2 things I could do were holding a hot water bottle, which I pretty much just hugged the whole time because it felt really comforting and really warm and really nice around my stomach area. And then the other thing was sniffing essential oils. So if I was feeling really tired or drained, I would smell lemon or lime or orange essential oil, which I found very uplifting, or peppermint, which would lift my mood. Or if I was feeling a little bit anxious or a little bit overwhelmed, I would smell lavender, which would relax me. So, you know, those were the only 2 things I could do. And obviously, you know, I could hug Toby or talk to Toby and have some kind of personal interaction. But in terms of what I could experience just on my own, that was it. And I found that incredibly challenging. And letting go of the pattern of wanting to change our states, of not accepting reality for how it is in the present moment and wanting to change it, whether with food or liquids or whatever, right? That was a really big pattern for me. But on the face of it, the physicality of doing the 7-day dry fast, sure, by days 6 and 7, I was pretty dizzy. I kind of spent most of my time on the sofa. But days 1 to 5, I was going and walking outside for like an hour plus every day. And I still walked a little bit around, you know, on days 6 and 7, just around the house. But I did find myself getting tired, and I would get a little bit dizzy when I stood up, and I had a few other symptoms. But generally speaking, it was fine, you know. And most people believe that if we don't have any water for more than 3 or 4 days, that we die. And that's a really limiting belief. And the reality is, no, we don't die. I did 7 days completely dry, and I didn't die. In fact, I felt better than ever afterwards, you know. I cannot tell you how high my energy was when I started refeeding, how complete I felt, how emotionally like high I was, you know, like it was one of the best things I've ever done, no doubt. And I would never, you know, having had this experience now, I would never doubt my body's ability to repair and rejuvenate itself. And it's this understanding that we get through direct personal experience that the body can do so much more than we give it credit for, than we think it can do, you know. And we actually sometimes forget just how incredible this biomechanical machine that we kind of live in, this incredible body that we've been gifted, just how amazing it is, you know, where with all of our scientific and other advances, you know, technological advances, we're not able to recreate a human eye. We're not able to recreate a human body. We're nowhere near that. And yet we're so egoic. We think ourselves so clever and so advanced. And the body is just this thing, you know, we just take it for granted. But it's not just a thing. It's an incredible, powerful vehicle that we live in. And this body is capable of so much. There are so many latent powers that are available to us once we start completing with these incompletions, with these patterns that we have, these limiting beliefs. And there are these yogic powers that are described, in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, that are described by my guru, Paramahamsa Nityananda, who has initiated me into a lot of these powers and who has initiated thousands, tens of thousands of his disciples into these powers, and a lot of them are manifesting them. Third eye powers like remote viewing and blindfold reading and healing. And I've witnessed these with my own eyes. And it's incredibly humbling, and at the same time it's incredibly empowering to realize just how much potential we have in our body, and that all we need to do truly is just get the mind out of the way, because this power manifestation, whether it's manifesting your life exactly as you want it, or whether it's manifesting pearls and diamonds from your body, which I've seen with my own two eyes. One of Swamiji's disciples, she's kind of his second in command. She's an incredibly powerful lady. She manifests pearls and diamonds, and they come out of her mouth. And I'll share a video in the description below. Maybe you guys are curious to check it out. This is actually on YouTube. And the beauty is, guys, that no matter how unbelievable this might seem to you, which of course it would, we're taught to be cynical, and until you've directly experienced some of this stuff, how and why should you believe it? So I'm not encouraging you to believe anything on blind faith. All I'm saying is that through practicing fasting, you have more and more direct experience of the powers and the capabilities of the body. And as you progress on this journey, as your body becomes more and more effective, more and more clean, and able to do more and more, requiring less and less from the physical 3D food in terms of energy, the more you'll be able to access these higher states of consciousness. You'll be able to access and activate these latent powers within yourself. And I have to tell you guys, I have such good intuition. And sometimes I have premonitions in my dreams. Sometimes I can meet a person and I can just know exactly what it is that they need to hear or know. Or I meet people and I can just tell things about them, and very often my intuition has guided me towards so many incredible experiences in my life, and I'm experiencing this more and more as I continue this fasting journey. And the more you surrender to your body's true power to heal, the more you accept that as a possibility, the more you can manifest this healing in your own life, in your own body. But the most important step, the first one, is understanding this basic thing, that nothing external is healing your body. Your body is regenerating itself. And there are things you can do to help the body regenerate itself, for sure, but truly it's the body doing it via its own innate higher cosmic intelligence. It's not you. It's happening of its own accord. You just need to get out of your own way. You just need to give the body a break from digestion, to do regular intermittent fasting. There is an amazing process that my guru initiates people into, and it's called Nirahara Samyama, and it's a 21-day liquid fast. And it's an incredible process whereby by practicing this, we complete with all of the emotional patterns that cause us to emotionally eat. And by doing this, by clearing all our food-related incompletions, we can basically start living more and more off the prana around us, rather than, from the energy that we think we get from 3D food. The reality is we don't get any energy from 3D, from this food that we're eating. All of the energy is already inside us. We're like a galaxy or an atom. We are able to generate all of the energy that we need. So the only reason we eat is because we were born into a very toxic world, into a very toxic environment, to toxic parents, because we've been vaccinated, because we've been conditioned to eat all the wrong foods since birth. And because of this, we're very toxic, and we eat in order to minimize the detox. And as soon as we stop eating, we start detoxing and we don't start feeling well. That's what hunger pangs are. That's what people think is hunger. True hunger doesn't kick in until weeks and weeks of fasting. What most people think is hunger is actually just an emotional or physical detox symptom. That's all it is. So the more we allow the body to have these periods of rest, the more we can directly experience for ourselves the truth of what I'm sharing with you today, which is that the body heals itself. Not anything that you put into the body, no food, no medicine, no herb, no injection, no pill, none of that is helping your body. None of that is healing your body. And, you know, even energetic work, like energy healing, that isn't healing you either. All that's doing is helping you remove some of the blocks that are stopping you from healing yourself. It's putting you, whether it's via massage or Reiki or some shamanic plant medicine work, whatever it is, right? It's putting you in a position where you are energetically ready to look at certain things that perhaps you weren't before, or that perhaps has relaxed you and put you into a really lovely space from which your body, you know, really high vibration, like after a massage, you just feel so good, so relaxed. And that's, you know, you're in a really high energy space. And from that and in that vibration, the body can heal. So I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. I hope you found this video interesting. If you have any questions, let me know. If anything I've said has triggered you or frightened you or brought up some resistance in you, share this with me. Don't be shy, because I'd love to talk about this. You know, there were loads of things that I've said in this video that if I'd heard this even 4 or 5 years ago, I would have thought I was a complete kook. And, you know, the only reason I can share this with you guys with a straight face and with integrity and with without being ashamed of myself, you know, is because I know it's the truth through my own direct experience. And this is what fasting teaches us. It's a directly experiential journey, and no one else can tell you about your body. Only you can tell yourself about your body, and your body will continue telling you about itself and what it needs and what, you know, what works for it, what doesn't. So I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.